Hi, my name is Erica Smith. For my leadership review topic, I chose nurse burnout and leadership and how those two intertwine. The reason why I came to this conclusion is after working in the hospital for almost 2 years, I have personally seen nurse burnout. Although I'm not a nurse, I am just a certified nursing assistant. Uh, I have been able to see how compassion fatigue and all of that stuff just kind of intertwines, how nursing burnout can really affect your nursing care or your patient care, and how it overall just really changes everything. Really leaves the patient at risk, leaves you at risk, and all of that. So, for my personal interview, I chose to interview my boss. Her name is Cheryl. She is the service leader of the oncology surgical floor at Methodist Hospital. She has been working there, I think, her whole career, and then she ultimately ended up being our boss. She is one of the best bosses I've ever known. She takes time. She wants you to come into her office, talk to her about how you're doing, all of that stuff. Even if you have the smallest problem, she wants to know about it. She's there for you. So I thought that she was the perfect person to interview. And then I also found some other great resources as well. So for my paper, I just kind of started out talking about the nursing rates, statistics, all of that. I did find a statistic saying that for, I believe it was every 921 nurses, there is 100,000 patients. This can lead to over ratios of nurse to patient ratios. It can also lead to missing something because you have so many other things going on with your patients, and just kind of not knowing. If you have one too many patients, you could miss something small, especially if you're not in the right mind space. Another thing that I found is as though nurse burnout rates are extremely high, nurses also don't feel like they want to leave that field. One thing that I did mention was one thing that has a very important in any setting that involves any nurses and patient care is how the leadership of those settings are taking care of their nurses, and if they're expecting any kind of burnout, that the leadership positions are caring for their nurses. I do see this every day when I'm at work. I see my boss, I see my service leader doing exactly that. She takes care of us. She knows exactly what we need. So I kind of just went into patient safety. If a nurse is feeling burnt out, it's not 100% safe for their patients. If a nurse is in a different headspace, they leave room for error. A lot of people just think nursing is just passing meds and filling up water and taking people to the bathroom. Although that is very incorrect, they are the people advocating for every little need, whether they see a medication that's not correct or they see a dose that isn't correct, a mistake that the doctor made, they're the people catching it. And when these nurses are burnt out and not in the right headspace, they miss those small things, which can lead to huge patient error and possibly even patient death. So when I was talking to Cheryl in my interview, we interviewed over email, and then I was also able to speak with her face-to-face at work. I kind of just asked her a few different questions. One thing that I asked her was, how do you support your nurses to limit burnout? And she mentioned, I want to have a staff already aware that there are stressors with this work and be organized and I want to have staff already aware that there are stressors with this work and be cognizant that this can most likely affect them emotionally. Especially in the oncology world, we see a lot of sad things, more than I would say any other job. We see a lot of different things. So she mentioned how straight out in the interview, that's what she wants. She wants to make sure that her staff can understand that prior to starting a job, because if you walk into a job and on your first day you see what we see on a daily basis, and if you're not okay with seeing that, it can really cause some problems. So one thing that I found throughout my resources, so like I said, one of my statistics on nurse burnout are crazy high. I found that 15.6% of nurses are feeling burnt out, but then it rose to 41% of nurses that felt unengaged. When a nurse is unengaged, it is very difficult. not talking to their patients. They're not finding out before surgery they took their high blood pressure medicine, although they might have told someone they didn't, but they did, and now their blood pressure is all messed up and it's leading to a whole bunch of other things. If you're not talking to your patient, you're not finding that out, it can cause a lot of problems. I found that from a great article. The author was Bruce, and it was in 2019. Some other things that I found, like I said, for every 921 nurses, there's 100,000 citizens. I found that from Bakamis. There's no date. There's a lot of other authors on that one as well. Having these kind of ratios puts the patients at risk for something to be missed, like I said, and puts the nurses at a higher risk for becoming burnt out due to higher patient ratios. When there's a lot more patients in the hospital, right now we're kind of seeing a weird time, especially with COVID. We're seeing a weird time of high patient ratios, low patient ratios. It just kind of depends on the day. We can have high or low. Staff is getting sick, not making it into work, that kind of thing, which leaves it a lot harder. We could have harder patients on the floor that require more one-on-one attention versus other nurses are taking 7 patients while this other nurse is taking 4 because she has a super heavy patient type of thing. So I found a lot of other great things. When I was talking to my boss, she mentioned that one thing that she really suggests is for employees to, she said, not to sell back PTO like a lot of people do. She wants you to take that time off. You earned it. She wants you to recharge your battery. Stressors can lead a job into a lot of problems. One thing I mentioned was leave your problems at the door. Some nurses, they aren't able to do that. They're going through hard times at home and all of that. Overall, nurse burnout rates can cause a lot of problems, and leaders can do so much to help to bring this down. But one of the biggest things that nurses can do is to notice when they start to feel like they're not in the best headspace. I had a great time doing this, and it was very interesting. Thank you.